the F-test to test for equal variances. This test is used when we have sample data where the variance is unknown for the population. So what you have to do before you can do the t-test is find out whether or not the variances are equal or not. So step one for the F-test is determining what your null and alternative is. The null is stating that both variances are equal, and the alternative is stating that the variances are not equal. On to step two, we just need to determine what the alpha is. If the problem gives you what the alpha should be, then that's what it is, but if not, assume it's 0.5, so 5%. On to step three, what we need to do here is find out what the critical and F-sample values are. To do that, we're going to take the numerator, degree of freedom, which is equal to the sample number, so it'll be n minus 1, and then the denominator will be the second sample number minus 1. But it's really important that before you do that, you know what the sample variances are, because it's going to be important that the bigger sample variance will be the numerator, which will make it the numerator degree of freedom. So as soon as you know those numbers, you can then put them in the right order, and then you go to your chart with the F distribution. And since variances are always squared, the F distribution table will always be positive. So your rejection region will always be on the right side. So you take your numerator, degree of freedom, and your denominator, you put it into your chart, and that gives you your critical value. Now to find the calculated F sample, you're going to take the bigger sample variance, put it on the top, and then divide it over the smaller sample variance. And then, once you do that, if the F sample is greater than the F critical, in your conclusion, you'll know whether or not you need to reject or accept the null. If it is greater, you will reject the null, and then if it is not greater, then you will accept the null. Now on to the question.
All right, so here's our practice problem. We're going to conduct an F-test on the following samples. So sample 1 is a variance of 59.7 and it has 31. Sample 2 is variance of 98.6 and 41. And we're going to use a 0.5 level of significance, so 5%. So step 1, we're going to determine our null and alternative. We're looking to see if the samples are equal or not equal, so we just write as so. Step 2, we were given the level of significance, so we used 0.5. Then moving on to step 3, we're going to determine the F critical value. By doing this, we need to remember to put the larger variance on top, so that will be the numerator, and then the denominator will be the smaller. So we just take our numbers from step 1 and we subtract 1 to find the degree of freedom. So here we are, and then that will give us 40 over 30. We can then take that and go to the F chart to find our 1.79 for critical value. So that will be on the chart here. We're able to see where the rejection region will fall. Now we can find our F sample value, so we'll go back and take our variances, keeping the larger one on top. We keep 98.6 on the top and 59.7. We can then divide those to find our F sample of 1.65. So we can go back to our drawing here, and you can see that 1.65 is located in the acceptance region. So we know that we can accept the null and reject the alternative, and the variances are the same. So from here we can decide what t-test to use and we can move on.